Let's get this party started.
Okay. I gotta turn my camera off for 1 second. Or live. I just gotta go pull up chat. Oh, I gotta type
I was
in
gonna
chat.
say, don't forget to type in chat.
Fucking did it again, man.
God damn it, Lisa.
I know. I don't
You
think it's my
know.
internet. I think it's my computer. Okay. I gotta turn my camera off for 1 second. Or live.
Hi, everybody. Lisa's here. She just gonna
I'm
fix her
here.
shit.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm just I had to go type in chat.
She's coming, people. She's coming.
I typed in chat. They can type now. Holy cow, good.
Dorito, cowgirl. Jenna. Sorry, Mom, I didn't do my homework. Jenna said.
Jenna, holy shit.
They can hear you. Cowgirl said they can hear you loud and clear, Lisa.
Yeah.
West Haven, what's up?
Oh, good God. West Haven. I'm here. Just with the Cecil Hotel. Maybe by then, fucking Bashful will wake up. This is her topic stream, her idea. How's everybody? This isn't the regular Roundtable shenanigans stream that happens at midnight. This right now is about the Cecil Hotel. We are going to just give you guys a, like we do with the children, when we talk about the children, I'm going to give you guys a brief summary of the Cecil Hotel and what we hope to cover. This probably won't be just a one-time stream. We're probably going to have to do a couple of streams on it because the disappearance, as much as she wants to talk about the weird shit that happens in this hotel.
Because there's a lot of weird shit that happened here.
Yeah. So, but me and Doris also want to talk about, we're going to take a piece of this topic stream, probably not today. Well, we may do it today. No, I think we should wait. And we're going to discuss what happened. In order to talk about that, we got, if anybody does not know about the Cecil Hotel, there is a documentary on Netflix, or just Google it. There's plenty you can find out about the Cecil Hotel. I do have, I'm trying to, thank you, damn it, Jenna. I thought you were a member, but thank you, damn it, Jenna.
Nice. Thank you, Dorito. That would be cool.
Oh, that would be so fucking awesome, Dorito. That would be cool as hell. You should come up here and talk with us, Dorito, if you know anything about the Cecil Hotel.
Yeah,
since
Dorito.
You're from that area.
That's part of what the documentary covered on Netflix is the area and how bad the area is, and they do a little history of that whole section of the town. My lips fell off.
Rattle Trap. Hello. Oh, no.
Hey, Rattle Trap.
So, like I said, there's a documentary on the Cecil Hotel on Netflix. The Cecil Hotel is located in Los Angeles, California. Um, it was opened on December 20th, 1924. It has 15 floors. The 15th floor hotel has 700 it says it opened on December 20th of 1924. Is a 15-floor hotel, has 700 guest rooms. The hotel has a checkered history with many suicides, deaths occurring here. As of 2017, it was beginning renovation and redevelopment into a mix of hotel rooms and residential units.
And
all right, so go on.
I was going to say, interestingly enough, the weird history started way back in 1931. That's when they had their first death there. So it was only open and running for like 6 years.
Now, the part of California this hotel is located in is part of one of the worst areas in California. It is very well known as Skid Row. So if this is how I describe Skid Row. If you ever watched that show that used to be on HBO called The Wire, the last 2 seasons of The Wire, they decided they were going to take all the drug dealers and the junkies and move them into one area of Baltimore. And as long as they stayed in that area of Baltimore and conducted all their business in Baltimore, the cops would turn their head and they would know nothing. They wouldn't bother them. They wouldn't be arrested, nothing. That is basically what Skid Row is. It is the area where all the drug dealers, junkies, hookers, all what you would call degenerates and low lives go.
And
the Cecil Hotel is right dab in the middle of it.
And pretty much like Lisa said in the documentary, they said that basically the police don't care what happens as long as it's behind the barricades. They could give 2 shits less what happens there, who does drugs, who prostitutes, whatever. It's like there's no law.
Right.
Just like Lisa described.
Right. So they try to read in the documentary. You'll find that hello, Dave Larson. Hello, B Lady. I hate Diet Cola. Hello, everybody. Moose Gal. Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
So they had got a new hotel manager. You'll see this in the documentary. They got a new hotel manager, and she tried to revamp the place. And she had no clue what she was walking into. Like if you, Gaffer, hello.
Hello, Gaffer.
If you would hear this woman talk on the documentary, thank you, Dave Lawson, for the super chat.
Thank you, Dave.
You would, if you listen to her accent, you would think she was from around here. Yeah. Whether it be North Dakota or Minnesota, that's the accent she has. So she says, I came from a very small town, she wasn't used to it. And then she went into this hotel thinking it was like other hotels she has ran before because of the history behind the Cecil Hotel. And she would go in dressed as a professional, her pearls, very, very professional. And then her first week there, she realized, hello, Matt. She realized that this was not like any hotel that she had ever managed before. Now, your first impression when you walk into the Cecil Hotel, it is beautiful. The parlor, the waiting room, it is absolutely fucking gorgeous. And then behind that, there's a whole bunch of other shit that happens.
Right. A lot of people said that as soon as you get past the lobby, it looks like a rundown greasy, slimy hotel, but the lobby itself is absolutely beautiful. You think you're in like a 5-star hotel.
Right. And everything that has happened into this 15 story high hotel happened from the 10th floor up. So a lot of people know the history of the 10th floor and up, so they don't want to stay on them floors because bad things happen when you're on them floors.
Yeah, in the documentary.
So, yes, there was.
I don't know if her internet's not working or.
Bye, Dave Larson. Doris?
Yes.
Is it me frozen or you frozen?
You are frozen. We can hear you.
Yeah, that's Leon.
Wow.
You're jumping ahead.
Yeah, right, Lisa? Can you hear me? Oh, I don't think she can hear us.
This fucking internet is starting to piss me off.
So while Lisa gets that figured out, they interviewed a man who lived at the Cecil for about 10 years in the 80s, the early 80s. And like Lisa said, he said that basically he refused to go above the 10th floor. And he said, because all of us that spent time there knew the only people that went up there ended up being thrown out the windows. He was like, so I lived there for 5 or 6 years and I never went above the 10th floor. He was like, because I knew that nothing good ever happened up there. So just to kind of reiterate what Lisa said about the 10th floor, and just bad stuff happened from 10 to 15. But yeah, like, you're back.
Also, the reason why they have to, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Gusher. The reason they had to mix it up in the new development, and it was the old way too. The reason why they have to mix some of the hotel rooms and residential rooms is because of where it's located.
Yeah.
So zoning says that they can have half hotel, half residential. Because when that area started getting really, really bad, there was people renting rooms day by day, month by month, week by week. Hello, happiness without guilt.
Hi, happiness.
And they can't kick them out. You know, they already paid. So even trying to turn it so the attics and stuff wasn't there anymore, the zoning wouldn't let them do it.
Yeah.
So eventually what the hotel manager, she decided to do was, okay, I can't get rid of them, so I'm going to revamp it and I'm going to make it 2 different hotels. So one side was still the Cecil, and then the other side was named something else.
Stay on Main.
Stay on Main. Yes, it was called Stay on Main. And they tried to revamp that after the young lady went missing.
I thought it was before.
No, because they tried to revamp it. They started revamping it when she still was missing, and then they had turned both hotels, the Cecil and then named the other side after they found her in the water barrel on the roof.
Yeah, and
but because if you remember correctly, the guests that they interviewed in the documentary that came from the UK to stay in the Cecil Hotel, they drank the water
Right.
and complained about it having a bad taste.
Right.
And that's after they found the young lady in the
Right.
water bill. So that was before 2 hotels were made. They started doing it. They started the planning of it, but it wasn't done until after
Right.
she was found.
But yeah, and even after they separated it, they said that a lot of people still don't like staying there because the only thing they couldn't change was both sides shared the main elevators. So high-paying guests of the hotel would still have to be in there with essentially homeless people, because that's why these people were living in the Cecil, was because they were essentially homeless and they could stay there for like $3 a day, I think one person said.
Mm-hmm.
So they could stay there for change they collected off the street and have a warm bed. And
right. And when the new hotel manager took over the hotel, her second day there, someone died.
Yep.
And they had to come and take him out. And she said to the guy, the maintenance guy taking her around, she said, is there a floor, a room that nobody has died in? And he was like, no.
yeah,
No.
because,
and he just kept every room he kept pointing at.
Yeah, because he
telling her
took
what
her for a
happened.
tour because she was so shocked that they found someone dead. And he was like, oh, this is normal. And she's like, what do you mean? So he took her for a tour and was pointing out all the rooms where either someone got killed, someone committed suicide, or overdosed. And like Lisa said,
some had even been murdered. There has even been murders there. Like one of the other biggest stories about the Cecil Hotel is Doris had told you about the story 6 years after the hotel was built. That woman behind Doris, does anyone recognize her? Does anyone recognize that woman? Yes, after the Roundtable report, at midnight we end the Roundtable report, and we start what we call our regular Roundtable shenanigans streams, where we do and talk about everything, literally everything, except for politics and religion. We don't do that.
Yeah.
So does anyone recognize that woman next to Doris? She's a very well-known woman. Anyone?
Especially if you're a true crime enthusiast, you would probably recognize her.
Dorito, you should know who that is. Dorito, you come from California. You should know who that is. Yes, damn it, Jenna's got it.
Yes. Black Dahlia, her real name was Elizabeth Short. Yeah, Kathy, she was an actress back in the 40s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she was staying at the Cecil Hotel. She wasn't murdered there, but her body was found close to there. And like Alyssa Lim, she was from out of town and had only been there a day or two when she disappeared. Genuine.
You're correct, B lady. It is the Black Dahlia. Now, B lady said, but somebody else murdered her, I thought. Yes,
correct.
But she was staying. Yes, but she was staying at the Cecil.
Right. Her murder, I believe, is still open. They never found. They have suspicions on who did it, but they never closed her case because they never accumulated enough evidence to charge anyone. And she's only I only put her up
now
here
the man
because she's
standing
connected. Sorry, Lisa.
Right. And now on the Doris's picture, all these people on this picture on her background is connected to the Cecil Hotel and not in good ways. That man next to Doris is a serial killer that was murdering prostitutes.
No, he was the one that's Ramirez, the night stalker.
That's right. Right.
The other
That's
guy
right.
was
murdering prostitutes. And then the woman in the sky behind Doris, that's the young lady that was found floating in the water tank.
Right. So yes, Richard Ramirez was staying at the Cecil Hotel while he was on his killing spree. He murdered 13 people and seriously injured a number of others. There was also another murderer who was portrayed as a news reporter who was staying at the Cecil Hotel under the guise of working on a story. And he also was murdering prostitutes and leaving their bodies in the alley next to the Cecil Hotel. Yes, Chris, he did die in jail.
And again, back then, yes, he did. And back then, because they're on Skid Row, and they were staying in the Cecil Hotel, and there was cops in and out of there all the time for murders, domestics, what have you. People were going crazy, and the hotel had to call and have them removed, whatever. These criminals, Richard Ramirez and the other guy, was able to get away with their crime spree. And the one guy, the other serial killer, was actually doing it in the Cecil, in his room, some of them.
And
they were allowed to get away with this because prostitution and having prostitutes in and out of there wasn't anything normal, out of the ordinary. You know what I mean?
And they
it didn't occur to them that anything was going on, you know?
And they had said that Richard Ramirez would go into the alley, strip his bloody clothes off, and walk bare naked through the hotel lobby, get on the elevator and go into his room with no clothes on or in blood-drenched underwear. And they said no one ever took a second look.
Who was found surgically cut in half?
The Black
Are you
Dahlia.
talking about the young lady found in the water bottle? I mean, the water tower? Huh? What'd you say, Doris?
The Black Dahlia.
Oh, the Black Dahlia was, yes.
Yeah, they cut her mouth almost from ear to ear, and then her midsection.
They're right.
Yes, Chris. They said that Richard Ramirez was very cocky.
Did I freeze again?
You froze, but we could hear you. But yeah, like they said that he was very cocky. Oh, you're moving. And that he believed that he would never get caught.
Right. And you guys got to remember, like, because of where they live, and that, like, Dorito knows best because he's there. Skid Row, all these things don't seem out of the norm. And when the Black Dahlia was there, she's in the heart. Even the guests from when the young lady went missing to now, well, not now because I don't believe they're done yet, but you're in the middle of Skid Row. You're in the middle of Crime Central. Like, people come to the Cecil thinking, all right, we're going to walk out of our hotel. We're going to be able to explore and check out things. And you're scared to death because all you see is drug dealers, drug addicts, prostitutes. It's like a war zone. That's what Skid Row looks like. It looks like a war zone. It's not a well-kept area. It's dirty. There's tents. Literally, if you walk around the corner from the Cecil, there's literally a whole bunch of tents and stuff from where the homeless have and drug addicts have made homes all along. And they're not made to move it. Because like I said, it's kind of like that show The Wire. They were pushed into this part of the area, and as long as they stay there, we don't know nothing. We don't want to know nothing. And all you hear throughout the night, even when they were doing the documentary and they were interviewing, all you hear throughout the night, ambulance and police sirens and fire trucks. That's all you hear. So anything, the Black Dahlia could have walked out and went for a stroll and just needed to get out, and they recognized her as being the actress, and they could have killed her. Sickos can blend in there very easily because of the atmosphere that they live in. Yeah, they shit on the streets. Seriously, like it's gross there. It's almost like a third world country on Skid Row.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that, but that is what it's like. You know, there really is. There's no law. There's no rules over there. You know, and for Ramirez to walk in butt naked, and they could just thought he was high, and as long as he wasn't disrupting and bothering anyone, they were just gonna let him walk by because that's what they were used to seeing. They were used to seeing shit like that in the Cecil Hotel. You know what I mean? And at the time, they didn't know how to fix the problem. How are they gonna fix it? You can't really fix that dynamic. You can't discriminate and say we can't take them in, because then they can get in trouble. And now the city is telling them with their renovations, you have to keep this open for affordable housing for these people.
Right.
Because that's what is happening in that neighborhood right now. They're trying to revamp that neighborhood and make affordable housing to at least get them off the street and into a place to live. So because the Cecil is there and is zoned in that area, they have all that room. They have to split it for affordable housing.
And if I remember correctly, the manager said they were told that they had to allot so many rooms that were meant for residential housing, not like motel stays.
Right.
Hello, Nick Jones.
I believe they let the Black Dahlia get away with what she did because well-known people went there. Right now, they're shipping them to hotels. And let's be honest here, B-Lady. Let's be honest. They can take all them people that are renting their rooms and put them in the hotels. They're going to go back to Skid Row. They're going to go back there because everything their addiction is there. Everything they live for is right there in Skid Row.
They can get their drugs, their booze, and not for nothing, but that's where the prostitutes are probably going to stay, because that's where they get their work.
Right. And Dorito said they're making tons of loss and artsy studios, not but 2 or 3 blocks away from Skid Row. Yeah, they were talking about that in the documentary too. And because they're trying to revamp that area, they're doing it 2 and 3 blocks away from Skid Row. They're not doing nothing to fix Skid Row. Yeah. Skid Row, they're not touching that because they want them to stay there. They know if they give them their space, and the sad thing is it's working. They don't leave Skid Row. Whatever they do in Skid Row.
Yeah.
They don't leave it. So essentially it's working. Did I freeze again?
You froze, but we can hear you.
Okay. So, hi guys, this is a subject I'm interested in. Glad to hear that, Dreams. I'm trying to stay off the missing young woman in this hotel, but I don't know how.
We're losing you. We're losing her. Looking up the homeless and shipping them out. Loading up the homeless. paying them to leave, loading up the homeless and shipping them out. Yeah, and essentially Skid Row was started because the town or the county didn't want the homeless out in residential areas where people were paying millions of dollars for homes because the people that bought those homes didn't want to have to look at homeless on their streets. B lady, they could, but it was actually just sold again, I think in like 2019 or 2020. And they're again trying to improve it. I don't know if the town would let them close it down because of the whole affordable housing thing. The state would probably have to take it over if they did try to close it down. And the COVID quarantine hotel.
So I'm trying to avoid talking about the young lady that was recently died there. I don't know how. Bashful don't really want us focusing on that. I don't know how we're going to avoid it. But so quickly, I'm going to bring up other things and other people that have been there. Recently, a lot of paranormal teams have been there. Ghost Adventures was one of the paranormal teams that actually went to the Cecil Hotel to do a paranormal investigation. They have it up on their YouTube channel. I will put that link in the description below. And Jet Wash, I don't want to be rude, but I don't want to sidetrack what we're doing here. Because that's going to take us on something totally different. The hotel is closed right now, B lady, for renovations. It was sold in 2017, and it sold, if I'm not mistaken, for 81 point something billion dollars. Even after all this happened. But what had happened was, even though all this happened, in the history of this hotel, it raised the value of the hotel. So even though it started to become run down and all this is happening and it's right dead smack in the middle of Skid Row, it raised the value of the hotel.
Yeah.
So in 2017, the hotel was sold to another millionaire. And as of right now, they are renovating it and turning it half into a hotel and half into affordable housing. And their plans are, and this boggles my motherfucking mind because of what recently transpired in this hotel, this billionaire's plans is on the top of the roof, they want to put a pool, a mini golf course, and a helicopter landing. So, and I think a workout or something,
Yeah.
a workout section near the pool, which boggles my mind because of what just happened to that young lady. But
Okay.
okay. And all the fucking, how are they gonna keep the drug addicts and shit that they have to still have in the hotel when they're paying for? How are they gonna keep them out of there? They can't. It's discrimination. Right. They can't say, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, and there's been, I think they said something like 19 suicides that starting back in 1931. There's been murders, like umpteen murders. They said that there's basically an overdose daily. Some of them die, some of them don't. And one woman when she jumped out I think it was her 12th story window because she had an argument with her husband, landed on a man that was walking down the street and killed him.
B-Lady, we explain this. Because that Skid Row, so like Dorito said, 2 or 3 blocks from Skid Row, they're building all this fancy artsy, startsy stuff and condo and all that. But in Skid Row, they now want to make affordable housing.
Right. And because
that's what Skid Row has been zoned. So because the Cecil Hotel is in that zoning, they have to make the hotel, half affordable housing. It's a zoning thing. Right. And I was going to say that too, Dorito. That area, and yes, there is a lot of violence, and there is a lot of in the homeless communities, but there is not one homeless community that is anything like Skid Row. Nothing. When you watch that show The Wire on HBO, like I said time and time again, in the last 2 seasons, they pushed all the drug dealers and all the prostitutes and all the drug addicts to this block in Baltimore. They were talking about Skid Row. Mm-hmm. That was them referring to Skid Row, because essentially that's what Skid Row is, just a lot worse.
And that's exactly what happened.
Their version of Skid Row was Cleveland.
Right. And that's exactly what happened and how Skid Row became Skid Row. Like I said earlier, the state basically scooped up all of their homeless and put them in this one section where they weren't anywhere near the $1 million homes and the millionaires and the actresses and actors, because all of those people didn't want to have to look at the homeless. And California has so many homeless that they basically put fences around Skid Row, so these people could not leave that area.
It's almost like, to me sometimes, and this is going to sound harsh, and I don't want to offend anybody, but it's almost like a refugees camp.
Yeah.
That's almost essentially what it is.
That's how it looks.
With the fences and stuff. And that's exactly how it looks. And they're paying the homeless to leave. Like, yes, they did do in New York, but they always come back. And here's the difference. What is the difference between them paying the homeless to leave and then putting someone up, then the cops and stuff going there and paying them for information? Because that's what they do. If they want information, they know the only way a drug addict, a prostitute, any of them are going to talk is if you give them money. You hand them enough money, they're going to tell you anything. You know? Dorito said, no, not fenced in, so it's not fenced in anymore. In the documentary, there's one part that was fenced in.
Yeah, I was going to say they showed a fenced in part. And when they went through the history of Skid Row in the documentary, they said that they put fences up and
it may not be now, Dorito, but I think that they were talking about in the whole history of Skid Row.
And yes, B-Lady.
Right. That's what I was trying to say, Dorito. They collect the money, they get in trouble, and then they go back to Skid Row because there's no rules there. It's like they can go back and just be who they are. You know what I mean?
And yes, B-Lady, the hotel is forced by the state to allot so many rooms out of their 700 for affordable housing, where they pay what they can basically until they run out of money, and then they go back out on the street.
All right, so let me read this to you, B-Lady, and hopefully my internet doesn't fuck up while I'm reading this to you, and this will help explain a little bit, because this, what we're talking about right now, has gone back since the motel first opened. So hold on, let me read this to you. It says numerous incidents of death and violence have occurred in the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles throughout its history. Originally opened as a middle-class hotel on December 20th, 1924, in downtown Los Angeles, it eventually became a budget hotel, a hostel. I can't ever say that word right. And a rooming house. Its reputation is due to at least 16 sudden or unexpected deaths that have occurred in or around the hotel. It says the fifth season of the FX horror trilogy television series American Horror Story is loosely based on the Cecil Hotel. In 2011, the hotel's name was changed to Stay on the Main in an effort to distance the establishment from its past. So we're going to go down to a list of victims. January 22nd of 1927, Percy Kirk, age 52. He died of suicide, gunshot to the head. On the evening, Cook shot himself in the head while inside the hotel room after failing to reconcile with his wife and child, although the Times reported that he was rushed to the receiving hospital with a slim chance of survival. Death records revealed that he died that same evening. November 19th, 1931. W.K. Norton, 46. Death, ingestion, poison. Manhattan Beach resident W.K. Norton was found dead in his room after ingestion poison capsules. A week prior, he had checked into the Cecil Hotel under the name James Willies from Chicago. Benjamin Doris, 25 years old, suicide, gunshot to the head. A maid found Doris dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to his head. He died. He did not leave a suicide note. July 1934. Sergeant Louis D. Borden, 53, suicide, slit throat. In late July, former Army Medical Corps Sergeant Borden was found dead in his room at the Cecil. He had slashed his throat with a razor. Borden left several notes, one of which cited poor health as the reason for his suicide. March of 1937, Grace E. Margot, death, fell from the building. This is who Doris was just talking about. Margot fell from the 9th-story window. Her fall was broken by telephone wires which were wrapped around her body. She later died at the now demolished Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. Police were unable to determine whether Margot's death was the result of accident or suicide. Well, maybe that wasn't who Doris was talking about. January 1938, Roy Thompson, 35 years old, fell from building. Oh, Jesus, another one. United States Marine Corps. Fireman Thompson jumped from the Cecil's top floor and was found on the skylight of the neighboring building. He had been staying at the Cecil Hotel for several weeks. B-Lady, I hope this is helping you. Everyone, I hope this is helping you get a little bit of the bad history of the Cecil Hotel. Okay. So, wait, I think I just lost my spot. Oh, no. Okay. May 1939, Erwin C. Neblett. Hello, Lady C. Age 39. Ingested poison. Navy officer Neblett was found dead in his room after ingesting poison. January 1940, Dorothy Seeger, 45, ingested poison. Are we starting to see a pattern here? Okay. Teacher Cecil ingested poison while staying at the Cecil Hotel and was reported by the Los Angeles Times to be near death. No further reports were published about her condition. Her death is listed at January 12, 1940 from findadeath.com.
I don't know, Jenna. They don't say.
They don't say. Yeah, they don't say. Damn
They
it.
don't even say which
I'm
building
gonna
it was.
I'm gonna link this in the chat when I'm done reading it. There is some things you can click on that I'm assuming will bring you to the Wikipedia site, other sites to give you the information, so you guys can see it to try to look into it more yourself. September of 1944, Dorothy Jean Purcell's unnamed newborn son. She was 19 and the son was new. Murdered, acquitted due to insanity. Newborn
She didn't know she was
discarded.
pregnant.
She discarded her newborn baby.
Threw him out the window.
All right, so let's read about her.
You're welcome.
B-Lady, we will get to that. We'll cover that, B-Lady. Hold on. Purcell was sharing a room at the Cecil Hotel with her boyfriend, a shoe salesman, Ben Levine, 38. Purcell, who had apparently been unaware that she was pregnant, went into labor. She later testified that she did not want to disrupt the sleeping Levine. So she went to the bathroom where she gave birth to the baby boy. Thinking the baby was dead, she threw him out the window, and he landed on the roof of an adjacent building. Purcell was charged with murder. 3 psychiatrists testified that she was mentally confused at the time of the incident. In January of 1945, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Okay, now, the adjacent building. If you guys have not seen pictures of the Cecil Hotel, let me explain to you how the Cecil Hotel is. It is the construction of this hotel is really weird. I've never seen nothing else like this. So basically, the hotel has already been divided. It is so weird. Okay, so there's 2 parts of this hotel. So when you look at side pictures of the hotel, you got this building, and then alongside of it is another building that is connected to the Cecil. It's the same hotel, but there's about this much of a gap. And then there is like these weird things that connect them. So the Cecil has 2 roofs. So I'm assuming the adjacent building is just the other part of the Cecil Hotel, depending on what side, because looking at the documentary and the pictures of the Cecil Hotel, I don't know what other building, unless Dorito can help me with this, I don't know what other building would be close enough to the Cecil that the baby and the other people that jumped out the window can land on, except for the Cecil, the property of the Cecil itself. And then in between these little gaps is like, there's balconies. Some of the rooms have balconies. So they could have landed on that. Like you have to, I wish my computer wasn't and my internet wasn't acting up, because I would show you pictures. Well, let me show it. I was the construction of this hotel is just it's weird. I'm doing that right now. Oh, not that. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, Dorito. They're not that far apart. Like it's 2 buildings. I'm right, Dorito. Like there are 2 buildings, but there's that much gap in between the Cecil's 2 buildings, and then they got these things.
So this is what the Cecil Hotel looks like from the side.
Right, so you guys see that what I'm talking about? Oh, there's 3. So there's 3 buildings that is actually the Cecil Hotel, and you see they're separated. So the side of the building where the Cecil Hotel sign is, there's no window that they could jump out of on that side to land to the other building. And then on the other side, I think it's the same way. So if they jumped out them side windows in between like them little gaps, the only thing they can land on is the stuff for the Cecil itself. Right. I just wanted to show you guys that, because as you see on the side where them gaps are, there's no window for them to, unless a big gust of wind came and blew them to the other building. I mean, I don't know. It's possible. I don't know. And then on the other side of Cecil, where the other little building is, and if they jump from the rooftop, there's ways that they could have landed on the other windows. And unless she literally like football tossed that motherfucker like she was Troy 8, like I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful to the deceased baby, but if she took that baby like she was throwing it like she's freaking Troy Aikman or
And
something.
here's a better image.
Right. See, you guys see what I'm talking about? Like, unless she took the baby and tossed it like she was freaking Troy Aikman, that's the only other way would land on a junction building, even on the other side. And then jumping, I can see them jumping from the rooftop and landing on another building,
Right.
but not if they jumped out them windows. Even in the front, and I don't know about, I can't remember the back, but even at the front, there's no other building alongside of it that they can land on.
Is it? Oh, I think that's what it's supposed to look like once they're done. I think. I don't know.
Hey, Josie. Well, we're showing that way on picture, Dorito, because that's around the time all this stuff was taking place. You understand what I'm saying, Dorito? So, hey, Denise R. So how that because we have to keep the pictures of the time that we're talking about. We can't go to what it is now. You know what I mean, Dorito? Because
And this is kind of a picture, not a very good picture, but a picture of Skid Row. See all the tents that are on the side of the road.
Yeah, Denise. It is weird. And you're right. It is an old building. That's why, and Dorito, I hope you understand. That's why we're showing the old pictures, because we're not talking about something that's happened like right now. These are, stories from back when it was first built. So we kind of got to show the older picture, because nothing's really changed except for right now with them redoing it. But nothing, and I don't, I hope you understand. Yeah, okay. All right, so let me go back to where I was, speaking about the desk. All right, so we did the baby. All right, so now, November of 1947, Robert Smith, age 35, fell from the building. Yes, yeah, they even had Skid Row on it. It says Smith died after jumping from one of the Cecil's 7th floor windows. So y'all seen how the building is constructed, right? Okay. All right. So okay. October 22nd, 1954. Helena Gurneen, age 55, fell from building. San Francisco secretary firm employee Gurneen jumped from the window of the 7th floor. 7th floor, yeah. That's a bad floor, too. 7th floor room, and landed on top of Cecil's the sign. Marquee, thank you. Why they gotta have it so fancy? The fucking sign. Marquee. The marquee. 1 week prior. Okay, so she jumped out the window from a 7th floor room and landed on the top of the Cecil's marquee. 1 week prior. Okay. February 11th. Oh, my internet. All right. February 11th, 1962. Julia Frances Moore, age 50, fell from the building. I'm trying to think all these falls wasn't falls.
Well, and that was one of the things they talked about in the documentary, that they believe that a lot of people went there too with the intention of committing suicide.
All right. So Moore jumped from the window of her 8th floor room and landed in a second-story interior light well. She did not leave a suicide note. Among her possessions was a bus ticket from St. Louis, 59 cents in change, and an Illinois bank book showing a balance of $1,800.
Thank you, B-Lady.
What year?
1962.
That's a lot of money for them to do.
October 12th, 1962. Pauline Orton, it's Thomas Orton and George Giovanni. 2765. Pauline was 27, George was 65. Suicide. Fell from a building. Here we go.
Microphone. Leave the microphone.
Orton jumped from the window of her 9th floor room after an argument with her estranged husband, Dewey. He had left the room prior to Orton's suicide. Orton landed on a petition. Giovanni killing them both. Oh, pedestrian. Huh. Okay. Orton landed on a pedestrian. Giovanni. The pedestrian was Giovanni, killing them both instantly. As there were no witnesses, police initially thought Orton and Giovanni committed suicide together. However, it was soon determined that Giovanni had his hands in his pocket at the time of his death, and he was still wearing shoes. Had he jumped, his shoes would have likely fallen off during the fall or impact, and his hands would have not been in his pockets.
It's trying to climb on my chair.
Right, Denise, right, that's what we're talking about. Yep. Okay. I hope I'm not boring everyone. I'm just trying to give everybody a history because we tell you there's all these fucked up things. So if you actually put a name and a date and the what for, you can get a clearer picture. June 6, 1964. Jacqueline B. Englanger, 29. Pigeon Golden Osgood, whatever that means.
Oh, they called her the pigeon lady. She was one of the residents that would go out and feed
the woman that
pigeons.
fed the birds, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude did have a bad day, damn it. Murder, acquitted. Stabbed, beaten, and raped.
They stabbed her like 45 times or something, I think.
Yeah, I'm about to read it. A hotel worker discovered Osgood, a retired telephone operator, dead in her room. She had been raped, stabbed, and beaten, and her room was ransacked. Osgood was well known around the area and had earned her nickname because she fed the birds in nearby Pershing Square. Near her body was the Los Angeles Dodgers cap she always wore and a paper sack full of bird feed. Hours after her murder, and Langer was seen walking through Pershing Square in blood-stained clothing. He was arrested and charged with Osgood's murder, but was later cleared of the crime. The murder remains unsolved. Dad got squashed for playing pocket pool. Yep. Things that make you go, I know, Dorito. It's a damn shame.
Yeah.
December 20th, 1975. Approximately 23 years old. Fell from the building. It's like, didn't those people know about bridges? Kathy, we explained this earlier. Before that, there were bridges and all that. Kathy, I'm going to say this again. Let me explain this one more time. There was a show that was on HBO called The Wire. And I forgot about American Horror Story doing this too. I love that show. Anyways, so in the show The Wire that HBO used to have, the last last 2 seasons, you see the show, what happened to the police, we would consider in one neighborhood on a block or two and let them run havoc. And as long as they didn't come off that neighborhood and didn't disturb what is considered the regular people, the regular neighborhoods, they didn't care what they did.
Yep.
That is what Skid Row is. They practically pushed all of them over to that neighborhood, and whatever they do, as long as they keep it there, stays there. And it's worked for years, Kathy Bates. They were under bridges, and they were under all that, and then they were pushed there. And now they don't have to live under bridges, and they don't have to. And then what is scary, and Dorito can tell me if I'm wrong, they even get food stamps. Oh, no, not again.
Yeah, you were. You were like like everything you said was really outstretched.
So anyways, they get food stamps. They even get cash from the state, amongst other things that they do to earn their money to stay on Skid Row.
Yeah.
And if you've been with us through our children's stories, you would see California, no offense, Dorito, is a fucked up state, okay? I mean, look what they allowed Gabriel to go through. Look what they allowed the rest of them children to go through. And the cops and DSS and all them agencies were, are we surprised here? Because I'm not surprised one bit after what I seen they allowed Gabriel to go through and them other children. I'm not surprised one bit, people.
And the manager said that, like, because, like Lisa was saying, this whole Skid Row thing, and I know I said this before, but they have people that pay like $3 a day or $3 a week to live there. And they basically stay there until they run out of money. And that part of the hotel, they share bathrooms and showers. And so it's like a rooming place, which is why B-Lady, they allotted, that manager decided to make specific floors for the residential aspects of it.
No, B-Lady, all you need is a P.O. box. They're doing it in Texas now too.
Yep.
I know a YouTuber that's homeless and he gets food stamps and cash with no address.
Yep. Because in some states you can use a P.O. box as your legal address.
And because, B-Lady, think about this. They don't need an address. All they got to say is they live on Skid Row. They know that's where they are. That's where they want them to stay. They don't want them leaving Skid Row. There's going to be no questions asked. I'm on Skid Row. They come and look at a tent.
Go.
Look, that's where I live. That's where I live. It's Skid Row. They don't need proof. As long as they're staying on Skid Row and they know, And even the hotel manager said, when you call the police, when you call the police to say, I got this going on in the Cecil Hotel, there's no guarantee they're coming right away.
Yep.
If they even come at all sometimes.
She said that it was not she worked there for 10 years. And she said it was not uncommon to have to call the police 3 times a day.
And sometimes she would have to call them more than once because they won't come. And Dorito said that for the most part, it's an Ed card now, and it's automatic. Yeah, that's what I have too. You know what I mean, B-Lady? So I hope what I'm saying, all they got to do is go in and say, I'm on Skid Row. That's their address because that's where they want them to be anyways. They don't want them anywhere else. So basically, they're paying them, like I said earlier, to stay on Skid Row. There's buildings there, abandoned. They call them abandos. There's abandos there that the state allows the power to stay on, so they can plug in little things for them to heat food up and cook food with. and have heat if they need it.
It's a possibility, Kathy. They, in some of the circumstances where people jumped, they would say suspected suicide or unknown whether it was suicide or murder.
Right.
Because some of the residents that stayed there, they interviewed one man who stayed there for, I think, 4 years. And he said that everyone that knew about the Cecil, like we were saying earlier, never went above the 10th floor because that's where all the bad stuff happened, like drug deals and prostitution. And it was not uncommon for you to get thrown out of the window.
Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, and again, I know Bashful wants to stay away from this topic, but there's no way we're going to be able to stay about it. What's her name again? I don't want to miss her name. How do you pronounce the young lady's name?
Alyssa Lamb.
Alyssa Lamb. Let's look at her. It wasn't, now, you all know, pretty much we all know about drug addicts. And if you're on opiates and stuff long enough, you at drinking, because there's alcoholics there too. And you got to remember too, these prostitutes, we know what happens to prostitutes if they're on the streets long enough. So mental illness forms. With the prostitutes, there's PTSD, a bunch of stuff happens. And a lot of times these women already have, as we've seen clearly through the women that murdered their children in cases, there's mental illness there. And this is why a lot of times they self-medicate. So some of these people already have mental illness. And if you're on opiates and stuff long enough, it eats away the receptors of your brain. So if you didn't have mental illness, you're going to get it if you're on it long enough. So these people, they're delusional. And if you're high enough, you start seeing shit. You're imagining shit. So no, you don't, in my opinion, some of these things were probably, they thought they were high and they thought somebody was coming after them. And you know what crazy people do when they're in a delusion. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it has to do with mental illness. Like, how do you say her name again?
Alyssa Lamb.
Alyssa Lamb. She
came. Alyssa Lamb. Elisa.
She came from another country to get away. She was schizophrenic and bipolar, severe. Like she was number 4, high. She was high, and she just wanted to get away. They medicated her. The medicine was working, whatever. So she took a trip out of her country and came to California and booked a hotel at the Cecil. What they thought was she was abducted and murdered wound up being, and Bashful wants to avoid it. There's no way of avoiding it because you kind of have to show that creepy ass fucking video. Right. The last time anyone's seen in the Cecil Hotel. Because if you were to watch this video of her, you would swear to God she got possessed and someone was there with her, a spirit, a demon.
I was gonna say, originally I thought it was a spirit.
She's outside the freaking elevator and she's like grabbing to somebody and she's petting someone. And she's
doing this and
she's hiding in the elevator and she's looking out and so you're thinking like, oh my God, because of everything that happened in the Cecil. And then later on, you find out that she wasn't taking her psych meds correctly. And she went in to that water tower on her own. Like, yeah, it was creepy as fuck, damn it. Yeah. She went in to the water tower on her own because she was in a delusion. She wasn't taking her psych meds right.
And one of the...
So I'm thinking...
I was going to say, one of the things that I had questions of is this woman's on the elevator in and out for like a good 2 minutes. The elevator door stays open. And that's part of the reason you think it's paranormal. Why the hell isn't the elevator door closing? Well, and they explained that in the documentary she basically pushes a bunch of buttons all in a row. And they show the panel where the buttons are. The very last button on that row is door stay open. And she pushed that button, which explains why the door stayed open. Because that was one of the biggest questions that a lot of people had when they watched that video. And why they thought, like, a lot of people were speculating that there was somebody on the outside of the elevator that you couldn't see holding the
Right.
door open on the buttons on the outside. But are you frozen, Lisa? I think Lisa's frozen. But yes, and they, in the documentary, they like showed different routes that she could have taken, because she essentially gets off the elevator and walks down the hallway. And like, there was just a lot of controversy. She disappeared.
Hi.
We can't hear you. I heard one little blip from you. You're not moving. You're not speaking. Your eyes are not blinking. And she's gone. But like, one of the things, like Lisa said, they ended up contacting her family and finding out how bad her mental disease was. They did an autopsy. They found that her medication levels weren't at therapeutic levels. Therefore, she wasn't taking her meds the way she was supposed to. All of her medication bottles had the same exact amount of pills in them that they had the day she filled them before she came to America from California, from Canada. So she filled the medications apparently with the intention of taking them, because they talk about her diary, and she admits in her online diary that she finds that the medication does help, but she doesn't really like taking them because some of them make her feel low or foggy. Or if you ever take medication, or if you know someone with mental illness, a lot of times the medication, depending on what it is, can cause your brain to feel foggy, or you'll hear the term zombie-ish, because sometimes that's what it does. And a lot of people don't like the feelings that the medication gives them. And apparently that was the case for her. Her sister had said that it was not uncommon for her to stop, hey, Pug Steve, to stop taking her medication. And not only that, but once you take it for a certain amount of time and you get normal, you convince yourself you don't need that medicine anymore. Or they convince themselves they don't need that medicine anymore. And so they stop taking it because they think they're fixed, in a sense. Like, they don't realize that it's the medication that's making them like that. Doris, so these folks are on drugs and medicinal meds along with B-Lady. We're talking about one specific person. But yes.
And we can't speak for everyone that I spoke about,
Right.
because they don't go into specifics about it. Like, what they know, if they know that there's a part of the drugs or whatever, they'll tell you. But we can't.
Right. And I
am, damn it. But we can't speak about all of it because we don't know. You know, we do know from the autopsy of Alyssa Lamb, she did no other drugs.
And they said there was no alcohol in her system. The only thing in her system was her prescribed medicine, but like I said, they said the levels were so low. It was apparent she wasn't taking her medicine.
Right?
No, it's off.
But they did say, B lady, that because originally they were wondering if she had gotten something from Skid Row, like some type
Right,
of pill or
because
drug.
let's explain why. Because in the last 5-6 years, heroin is no longer heroin. Heroin is now fentanyl. And coke is no longer coke. It's mixed with other stuff. So it's 10 times worse. And then they started adding more shit to the heroin besides the fentanyl because heroin addicts like the nod. And for those of you that don't know what I mean about the nod is that when a heroin addict smokes it or they shoot it up, they nod, which means as soon as they're done shooting or they're done smoking, they're like this, and then they nod.
Yep.
That's what the heroin addicts like. Well, when heroin got taken over by fentanyl, there was no nod. There's no nod. So then heroin wasn't being sold like it was before. So they put other stuff in to make them nod. But then it was making them go crazier even more and making them do worse things than they were doing when they would just left the drugs alone the way they were. You know?
Right, Denise.
Right, Punk Steve, you found you, Punk Steve. You feel more, but you feel comfortable. But what you are not seeing is that you're sick and you need them. You know, and this is speaking from a woman who is married and with a man for 20 years that suffers from bipolar and he's schizophrenic. You're medicated and you're fine. And you're doing your therapy and you're doing everything you need to be doing, you're fine. And then you think, oh, I don't need it no more. And then it's, I don't like the way the medicine makes me feel. I'm fine without it now. I'm cured. And then you stop taking the medicine and you become this totally different person. And so at one point, my ex was always able to pull himself back. And this very last time, it's been almost 4 years and he still can't pull himself back to get back to what he was when he was on his medicine and was able to function. He'll tell you, he self-medicates like a motherfucker right now. And he'll tell me nothing's working, but he doesn't want to go back on meds to help him.
Yes, lady. I believe, in my opinion, that's why a lot of states like legalized like marijuana, because they started lacing marijuana with fentanyl or coke or
Hold on, be ready. So they never know what they're talking about. No, be lady. No, that I don't agree with that. You want to know what's going on with the drugs and you want to know what's going on in that streets? Don't go to your government. Don't go to your law enforcement. You go ask the people that live in the streets and are using the drugs. They will tell you. They'll tell you themselves. You want to know what's really being put on the drugs and what really the drug dealers are doing and all that and where it's coming from and whatever. Slip a drug addict $20. They're going to tell you everything and they're going to be truthful because, and some of them you ain't even got to give money to because they're tired of seeing, and regardless whether they're on the streets, the homeless and drug addicts, these people become their family and friends. And it's a little community, a commune, whatever you want to call it. It's a compound, whatever, like us with the Roundtable in our community. So they are tired of seeing their loved ones, their friends, their family being killed essentially by what the drug dealers are adding, you know? And it's not really the drug dealers on the streets doing it. It's the bigger players in the game.
It's the ones that are manufacturing the drugs.
The drugs. So you want the truth, you go to them on that street. You go to the drug addicts. You go to the homeless people, and you ask them. Because by right now, watch, that goes and interviews these drug addicts on the streets, and they openly tell him in these videos exactly what they're putting in the drugs and why addicts are more and more addicted and why they are so. It explains it. You want the truth, you ask the addict. Like right now, methadone. They don't want to give heroin addicts methadone no more. And I learned this last night watching this YouTube channel. This heroin addict, this YouTuber convinced this woman to go to the methadone clinic. Well, because of all the fentanyl and stuff she was taking, methadone will not help her. It's only going to encourage her to get high. So they give her something that's called Medicare. And what Medicare does is it does not give you the high. It just stops from what they call getting sick. So it stops the urge of you getting sick. And it stops you don't feel that sickness. Because at a certain point, the addicts aren't getting high to get high. Because they can't get high no more. They're getting high so they don't get sick. So now instead of methadone, they got Methacure, and the Methacure takes away them feeling sick and they're able to function. So that's what the clinics are trying to do now, is they're trying to, because what methadone was doing was, it wasn't serving its purpose because they were using that to get high, to add with their drugs. So Methacure is now doing what it actually is supposed to be doing. It's taking it away so they don't get dope sick. And so eventually they can wean themselves off it.
Right.
And if they go to rehab, it'd be easier for them to get help if they're not dope sick.
Yeah. And I agree with Lisa. That was the one thing that I never agreed with methadone, was all you're doing is giving an addict something else to become addicted to. And they get addicted to the methadone. Last time I went off my meds, scared the fuck out of me. I went without.
Well, happiness without guilt, that's your preference. It's everybody's preference.
Hello, Western Beer Reviews.
Right. And what Damaging is saying now, I'm going to say this. Reviews. What's this? If you've been with Roundtable from the very beginning, goes on around. If you're with us,
I'm kind of shitty or pain just dealing with it.
okay.
So
Here we go.
I was gonna say it's 20 past 1 or 20 past 12 for you. Do you want to go for another 8 minutes or so, or do you want to stay on topic?
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. I just want to say this, and then we'll end it and go to the Roundtable regular stream, and I'll restart my box. We've all of us, especially as ladies of the Roundtable and Skeeter, have been very, very honest. Swamp Acres, hello. A lot of us have suffered with some form of mental illness. And a lot of the people that have been around for a while know Lauren's been gone for a while, Twin's been gone for a while, Skeeter comes and goes. And that's because what we're talking about right now. You know, you have to get right with your own mental health in order to be able to do anything else. And if you're not yourself, like Dan Jenna says, and you can't function in your everyday life, how are you going to be up here with me? You know what I mean? They are so that's why when people bring it up and say, oh, well, they're not part of the round table, why are they included? They are very much a part of the round table, and don't judge because you don't fucking see them here. I know what's going on. This is my family. I know what's going on with them. I talk to them all the time. It may not be every day, but we talk regularly, you know? So I know what's going on. So when people start bashing them and say, oh, where's Twin Ben? Where's Lauren? Where's Skeeter? I know what the fuck's going on. It's just nobody else's business. And if you paid attention to us when we all been together, you know Lauren suffers from mental health issues. She openly spoke about it many, many times. Hello, Joseph. Skeeter tells us all the time. He jokes about it, but them voices in his head is very, very real. And he medicates. And one of his therapeutic with it is making the characters that he makes to make us laugh. That helps him. Same with Twin. Twin's an open book. She's explained her problems, her mental health. So if you don't see them for a while, take into consideration what they have told us many, many times from their own mouth. And as I can't speak for the whole community, but I know the round table pretty much knows what everyone with, but talk to. So
Sometimes I get really depressing moods and I just disappear. I just need time to rest and find the exactly. And everyone knows what they need to do to help themselves. And that's just part of, I think, what Lisa's saying.
right. So that's what Lauren's doing right now. Twin. They're taking time to reset themselves. So, okay. So I'm going to end this and restart my fucking internet box and come back with the regular roundtable shenanigans stream.
Right.
Before I leave, I want to quickly, before my internet fucks up again, I want to put in chat the channel I was telling you guys about that goes and interviews the drug addicts and stuff. It's a really good channel. I really do enjoy his content, and he helps. Him and his wife are the fucking angels. Like the things that they made me cry a time or two. I'm not gonna lie. Let me find the channel.
Toy Mermaid. Toy Mermaid.
Toy Mermaid. Toy Mermaid.
Ron. Scott. Wolfie. Thank you. Gaffa.
Thank you for the raid, everybody. All right, so the link I just put in chat is the channel. It's Jersey with Jules. Check them out. They talk to a lot of homeless, drug addicts. You get a clear understanding. It gives you a different outlook on things. Check them out. You'll understand more. And I'll see everybody real soon when we start the second roundtable stream.
Mark.
See you in a couple minutes. Thank you, Toy Man.
Mark.
Yes.
Move the fucking fan away
Yeah.
from Lisa's face. God damn it.
What fan?
The one that's making you.
There's no fan.
It was a joke, Lisa. Jesus
All right,
Christ.
I'm gonna end this before I crash again. I'll see everybody in
All
a few
right,
minutes.
everybody in a few minutes. Same place.